Welcome to the first live episode of the Girl Go Global podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jasmine, and this episode is sponsored by the In Full Bloom Summit. Not only was I able to record my first live episode at the summit, but I also facilitated a writing workshop. And as we get to know each other a little more, you'll learn more about my passion for communication, writing, and all things words. But let's get into this episode with the founders of the summit, where these ladies are literally helping women and girls of all ages and stages bloom. This summit was a dynamic experience, and I can't wait for next year. But first, let's chat it up with Shannon Martin and Wuyah Gbondo. Let's get into this episode. Wuyah.
So Jasmine is my cousin, so she holds me accountable all the time. She just did the same thing just now. Thank you, Dr. Jasmine, for this platform. Who am I? I am just this amazing, beautiful, bold African child.
Period.
Yeah, period. That became this dynamic woman of God, who loves women, who loves girls, who loves to empower women. My brand, just last June, y'all, I launched Bloom Her LLC. Yes, and that was launched through my journey in my blooming season of lack thereof. I felt like when I was your age, most of you young ladies, I didn't have the platform like you all have this summit. I didn't have events to go to empower me, to nurture me. And so I wanted to birth Bloom Her to create a space for young ladies and women to be nurtured and empowered and reach into the blooming season, but even to make sure they engage in healthy and sustaining relationships. So that's me and my brand.
Hi everyone. Is my mic on? Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Shannon. I'm a lot of different things. I'm a mother to a toddler. I'm a school psychologist by training. I'm a yoga teacher, a Reiki practitioner. And I think in all of those different roles, one of the things that is really, really important to me is to make space, right? So to make space for myself, to make space for my family, to make space for my students, to make space for people who look like me, my community around me. And so because of those different roles, because of those different experiences, one of the things that has been close to my heart has been making space for Black women and girls. And so because of that, I was inspired to create a curriculum which was inspired by a lot of the women you see here today. So Sine, Yemi, Amanda, I've had conversations with all of these people over the years. And so I created a curriculum called Breathe and Bloom. And so Breathe and Bloom is something that combines mind-body practices with social-emotional learning for Black women, Black girls, brown girls, to center their own wellness, to center their own creativity, and to center each other. So that is a part of my brand, but that's also just a part of who I am. And so something I often say is that, sometimes people go into different things and different endeavors because they're interested in the work, but I feel like for me, one thing is, it's not just I'm interested in the work, but I am this work, right? So I do things
That's good.
that I wish my younger self had. So that is a part of my brand. I'm also a student. It feels like I'm forever a student, but in real life I'm also a student. So I'm a PhD student at the University of Maryland. And so one thing that I've also continued to do in different spaces and different times throughout my 33 years on this planet has also been to continue to learn. And so I think that's something that is also important to me, to my roles, but also to my brand, is to make space for learning and to acknowledge that that looks different, right? So it's not always learning in the classroom. I think we did a lot of learning today as well.
That's good. That's good. So tell me and tell us here in the room why you decided to collaborate. So often, people try to go out on their own, do it all by themselves, but versus compete, you decided to collaborate. That took a lot of faith. Tell us about collaboration versus competing.
So if I'm being honest, I feel like it wasn't up to us, right? Like it wasn't up to us. So Wuyah and I met through a mutual friend from graduate school. Shout out to Shannon Brown for the connection.
Collectively, Shannon Brown is a dynamic.
Yay! And so she introduced us, I think in a DM. She was like, okay, y'all need to meet. Here's each other's information on Instagram. And this was it had to be October of last year.
It was the summertime, and Shannon was too busy for me all summer.
And so we met, we connected, we finally were able to meet via Zoom. And it's like the first conversation we had, it was like everything was in alignment. Like, oh my gosh, I love that idea. Oh, you like this too? Oh my gosh, we should definitely do something together. Oh, what are we gonna do? Oh, let's do a summit. Oh, a half-day summit? This was supposed to be a half day, y'all, but here we are. It's about to be 5 o'clock.
A day later.
But I say it wasn't up to us because so many different things have fallen into place. When we were thinking of what are we gonna call it, right? We would have weekly meetings every Thursday at 11 a.m. I'm talking to Leah. And we had come to that meeting and said, okay, we need to think of a name. Both of us could only think of one name, right? At the top of our list, I didn't have anything else. She was like, okay, girl, I couldn't think of anything else, but this is what I have, in full bloom. And I was like, are you serious? Because me too. Like, that's the only thing. That's the only thing on my list. And so I think even with so many of the women that we've connected with, everything has felt like it was just meant to happen. Like, our birthdays are a day apart, Scorpio season.
Scorpio season.
It's all here, right? And so all of the different things, even I know Kiana's also a Scorpio, seems like.
Kiana's like,
as of 2 days ago, we were out of a paint workshop facilitator, right? But here we are 2 days later. Kiana was able to make it happen, and she also was saying how so many different things have been in alignment with what she's been talking about in her journey and her story and her blooming. And so, you know, we're also partnered with Ms. Kaifa from Plants and Blooms Reimagined. So even if we're just talking about naming things and things that have felt like they're coming together and make sense, I don't think me and Wuyah had a choice.
No, we didn't. I think what was key in my introduction with Shannon is that I had to be vulnerable to say I need help and I need to connect with other women with my same passion and mission to help me grow and bloom in this journey and bloom her, right? So because I know our friend Shanae had a big platform of like, you know, her collectively and connecting women in the community work. And so I said, Shanae, I really need to be on your platform to have an interview. She's like, you know, I'm on a break right now, but I think I'm gonna connect you with my friend in the DMV area. She's amazing. And I said, well, do you think she's gonna receive me? She's like, yes, girl, I mean, you would love her. And I was so terrified of the rejection. That's a real thing.
That's good.
How
Talk about that.
Receive me? How will she receive my mission? I didn't know anything about Shannon. I didn't know anything. I just knew she was this beautiful person that I'd heard about, but I didn't know how she was going to receive me. So when I reached out to her, I remember I think that was my first time DMing. I didn't know what DM was, right? So I'm not the Instagram communicator. I'm like, why do we have to DM? Like, why can't you just have a text conversation or call or something, right? But it was something new to me, and though it was scary, I had to do it to get to the next level. So meeting Shannon was another level of my blooming process. And that's how I see it from like day one.
That's so good. That's so good. Oh my goodness.
I don't know why you did that to me. It's only second question. You already gonna make me cry.
Oh my goodness. I'm hearing like so many gems you all are dropping. One of the things I just heard you say was do it scared.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that the tenets of the Girl Go Global brand is this idea about faith and stepping out on faith and doing the things that are on your heart and things that resonate with you. Doing it scared. And then stepping out and connecting with someone that has that same synergy, and you found out that you had so much more in common than apart. How about that? And so when you think about what it takes, it took a lot of strategy and intention to kind of put this summit together, come together, and connect with one another. What exactly, for those who are still unclear, what does it mean to bloom? Like, we've been hearing that word all day as part of the sessions, but from the founders' lips to our ears, can you all tell us what it means to bloom?
Yeah, I'm going to start with that because I feel like that's what we all take here for today, right? We just had an amazing plant workshop, and we talked about, like, you know, part of that was like everybody took away flowers, real flowers. And you have to now go home. It's not about having these flowers, right? It's about nurturing the flowers. watering the flowers, giving them the sunlight that they need so that they wouldn't wither or die away, right? So for me, blooming is nurturing my emotional self, my mental self, my physical self to make sure I don't wither or die away.
That's good.
And I think that's what I've been more intentional about, like, and it really happens really more in my 30s more than anything else, because I felt like in my 20s I spent a lot of time in unhealthy relationships, and so I really was sinking and I wasn't blooming. Right?
That's good.
I was underneath and not on top. And so I've really been intentional in everything, every conversation I have, every engagement, every relationship I get in myself to, everything I do, it has to enrich me and to grow and blossom. So I feel like for me, blooming means blossoming. It means getting larger and larger, but doing it in a way so I don't lose my authentic self.
That's good. That's good, Wuyah.
So I think related to that, for me, blooming is growing, blossoming, but also recognizing that that's changed, right? And so being able to recognize that where I am now is not where I was 5 years ago, but it's also not where I'll be 5 years from now, right? And so being able to nurture, to celebrate, that's the other part, right? So we're here to nurture the women we want to be, but also to celebrate the women and girls we already are. And so to celebrate each stage of that process, to celebrate the struggles, to celebrate the mistakes, but also to celebrate the wins, to celebrate what it looks like now, to celebrate that it doesn't look like what it used to look like, and also to look forward to celebrating what is to come. And so I think it's about celebration. I think it's also about acknowledging and accepting change and recognizing that change can be hard, but it can also be beautiful. One thing that I also took away from Ms. Kaifa's workshop, Amanda actually made a comment that, a rose is beautiful and valuable in any state. Right? And so if we think of ourselves in that same way, we are beautiful and valuable in any state, in any part of the process, even if we are not able to recognize it in the moment, that we're valuable, right? We are worthy of celebration. We're also worthy of watering. We're worthy of being nurtured. And I think another part of this blooming season is that we are doing it together, right? So a flower is one thing, but a garden is a whole different thing.
That's good. Can we get a clap for that? Yeah. That was the name of my session. My session was finding your garden, planting and blooming. Yeah. Right. So that's good, Shannon. So when we think about this summit and where we are, you've just given the ladies who say, I don't know how to bloom, you've given some great advice. But what does, after the success of this, because I'm saying this was a success, right? After the success of this summit, what's next? How are you thinking about impacting others? After this, what's next for you all as a collaboration? But you can't continue to serve as you've been because this has forever changed you, I'm sure. So what does that mean for you?
First, we're going to sleep. We are going to rest. But I think one of the things that we have been talking about, and that is the plan, is that we want to continue this for sure. We also want to make it a space that is accessible, that is ongoing, and so we've talked about get married in July.
Congratulations!
So thank you. After the wedding, the goal is to move forward with establishing nonprofit status so that we can reach more women and more girls in more places. Yes, I know that's one step, one looking forward. What else?
I'm just going to say this. God, we're just going to be still.
That's good.
Just because I feel like we need God to move. Because I don't think Shannon and I expected to have a summit when we first talked in October, right? And I think that for me, I just want to hear what God will have us to do next. What we both want, and that is to establish that nonprofit. And I have my close girlfriend who's a sister to me right now, and I'm a board member for her nonprofit, Kingdom Girls Inc. And I love my friend dearly, and I said to her, I don't know why you did a nonprofit. It's so much work, right? But here I am.
Don't speak too soon, ladies. Lots to learn.
Right? Here I am thinking of really launching this with Shannon and taking this journey. But God aligned me to sit on the board of one before I could do my own. Right?
Look at that.
So you can never say never, because when God has set your path, you cannot divert from it. Right? When I started, I was like, oh, I'm going to support my friend. I'm going to be there for my sister. I'm going to be a board member. I don't know what it means to be a board member. And I've learned to go to that opportunity is with a platform for me to grow, but I didn't really know that. So I feel for me, I'm going to be still and let God move. Because this summit, I'm going to start tearing up right now, because in 2017, I was a facilitator, myself and Kia Oliver, and I'm Till Corner. Till is still here, but we were all facilitators at a summit, Girls Led Summit in DC. And I remember the opportunity that when we got invited to do that, we were like so excited, like, oh my God, we get to facilitate in the summit, oh my God. And here God is doing years later that I'm a co-founder of a summit of my own. So I'm gonna let God lead, and I'm gonna be still.
That's good. That's good. That's good. It's like a no-win. That's a strategy. A strategy is still being still. Yeah. That's a strategy, and we should all take that takeaway from what you've just shared. That's dope, right? So we've talked about faith. We talked about that know-how, that strategy, how you all got started. So let's talk about the courage and persistence to keep going. Like your journey of founding this organization, it's going to take some faith, it's going to take some know-how, but it's also going to have to take some persistence and some passion behind it. So what do you wish you would have known when you started this journey that you can take with you moving forward? What's going to keep you passionate about this?
Let me give me a second on that. That's a good question.
What do you wish you had known? Like, that's that thing you wish you had known, you're going to have to keep that in your pocket.
So I think one thing, and maybe this is just not something that I wish I would have known, but something that maybe I took for granted, is that this whole time we have gotten so much support from so many different people in so many different ways. And I think that is definitely something to hold on to. Because sometimes you're like, I'm about to get emotional too. So yeah. Sometimes it's like, I have this idea. I want this thing to happen. I don't really know how it's going to happen or like what it's going to look like, but I know it needs to happen. And so many people have helped us make it happen, right? And so I think it has been so special to receive that support and
That's
to
good.
accept it, because sometimes it's also hard to accept that help. But that's important, because we can't do it by ourselves. Even though there were times where it's like we're up late, doing whatever, having these meetings, going back and forth, learning new things that I didn't even think I knew how to do, right? We just learning new skills just to put all of these things together. But there are so many people from so many different directions that were giving us support. And I think moving forward, that's also something to remember. Like, we don't have to do it by ourselves. We don't have to figure it out by ourselves. There are people who have done it. There are people who are doing it. There are people who will give the skills, the resources they have to help us do whatever needs to be done. And so I think that is definitely something to remember.
Good. That's good.
Oh, that was good. My white blazer needs to go to the dry cleaners on Monday. It's done. Shannon just hit it on the note. I think that our community that we have, because I feel like we have found out even more doing this, that we really have a strong community, right? The Full Bloom Summit is a community, right? But before we got here, we had our own community individually and then together. We were so thankful, I think, in terms of what I didn't know, and I think Shannon and I were talking about this last night as well, literally figuring out things at Buffalo Wild Wings at 11:30 at night yesterday with our laptops open Buffalo Wild Wings. We literally said to ourselves, man, this is a lot of money, right? We didn't know it was going to be so expensive. But for every dime that was spent, we saw the worth today. So I think for me, every girl, every woman that has smiled and taken something from this and appreciated it and is still here, that's what is going to keep us going. For every person, like literally, if you look around the room, my girlfriends are supporting me, my sister, like literally every phone call I've made, I need your help. Every facilitator we've called and said, can you do this for us? Every panelist has said yes, nobody has said no. On my way here, my close girlfriend called me, Olu, and prayed with me. Last night, we were here late setting up, and my girlfriend, who just got married 2 weeks ago and came from my honeymoon, was here setting us up. So I'm just saying that that's what's going to keep us going, because we have a support system. And we know our mission, we know what we want to do, and we don't do it alone. Shannon and I did not do this alone. Yes, this was our idea, but we had a community to help this happen. That's what In Full Bloom is about, is the community that we have built and what we'll continue to do. Because I know next year is going to be even bigger than it was this year. And you're going to help us. You're going to spread the word that listen, before they sell out, listen.
Listen.
Okay, I'm done.
That was so good. That was so good. That was so good. Let's give them a round of applause, y'all. That was so good. You know, when we think about what you just said, you know, we all can recognize that when times get hard, we don't always recognize the people in our lives that have been there to save us. We don't always recognize our community. So as you all continue to expand and grow your individual and this collective community that you're building, remember that circle and that community, and then remember this moment. We're going to wrap up. I just have one final question. What is one word of encouragement you all would give a woman about pursuing her passion?
A single word?
One word, one or two? What you got? What would you say to the ladies out there who say they want to kind of do what you've done, and whatever that looks like for them? What's that one word you would share with them? It could be one or two words.
I have these two words I've been going with this year. I want to say those words because it's been sticking with me. Go and grow. I want to encourage every girl who has a dream, who has something that's been hitting them from the bottom. Every woman who says, I can't, I don't know if I can, I don't know if I have the resources. Go and grow. That is all I'm going to say for this year. I literally, in the last couple of months, I mean, in my job, of people I've worked with for years, and people are resigning and doing different things as we have no opportunities. And I get sad about it, but I said, listen, go and grow, girl, you're doing your thing. So I felt like when Shannon and I did this, we really wanted to go and get and reach our passion and fulfill this dream, but we're gonna grow to the next level with it. So go and grow.
That's good.
So I keep thinking like, oh, what's my answer to this question? And I keep coming back to what Jaden and Ari said earlier, right on the panel. They said, just do it. Do it scared, do it nervous, but just do it. Just start, right? And so I think, I'm just like hearing them in the back of my head, just do it. To get started, to know that if you have an idea, or you have a dream, or you have a passion, that you have that idea, that dream, and that passion for a reason. And it would be such a shame if it was wasted. Or it would be such a shame if the world didn't find out about it. Right? And so do it. Offer it. Ask it. Try it.
That's good. Wow. Wow, wow. This concludes our closing conversation with the founders of the In Full Bloom Summit, and it concludes this episode of the Girl Go Global podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. And tell us how we can connect with you, your social media, your email. Let us know how best we can connect with you.
Everybody, if you do not already, if you have Instagram, take out your phone right now and follow us at In Full Bloom Summit on Instagram for any updates. Yeah, that's how you can find us. Yeah. You can also find me on Instagram at We Breathe, We Bloom on Instagram, or ShannonWMartin.com.
Yeah, so Bloom Her LLC is my other Instagram. The other one, I don't want you to even request me because I'm gonna be getting because I'm like so bad with it. I'm like, oh my God, I have to request because somebody's requested. I've been waiting for a whole couple of weeks. But you're always, I really want, I'm very authentic and I don't have nothing to hide, right? So if you want my personal, I think it's Wuyah Philo. I don't even know my personal. But you'll find me. If you go through my Bloom Her LLC, I'm right there as well. But please follow, please support. Please tell your friend, tell your sister, tell your auntie, tell your mentor, tell your grandma who couldn't make it today. Maybe tell your mom. Mom, you dropped me off, but you should have stayed with me. Because this was for you too. Okay? So help us spread the word. So next year when we do this, you can come with your whole crew.
Yay.
It's not only you, it's you and your crew. All right?
Thank you so much.